Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's High Potency webinar. I'm very pleased to introduce Lydia Garcia Martin, our high potency expert. Lydia has close to 20 years of experience in technical leadership roles at global companies such as Roche and Recipharm. Throughout her career, Lydia has gained deep expertise on engineering high potency strategies, and she has also led multiple projects in process and technical transfers into manufacturing. In this session today, Lydia will share how she has successfully built strong high potency strategies, how to overcome production challenges, and also how to design for efficiency and align cost and compliance from day one. After the session today, we hope that you will get a better understanding on how to design robust processes so that you know exactly what it takes to move from planning into production. If you have any questions or want to get in touch with us, we have included our contact details at the beginning of the presentation and also at the end, and a QR code to scan. We aim that the presentation takes around 45 minutes. So I will now leave it over to Lydia.
Thank you, Luis. Thank you for so kind introduction, and thank you everyone for joining this webinar. I am excited and also a bit nervous to share with you how we have built our hypo strategy in Recipharm in Leganés. I hope that we will be able to share with you in this session how we are managing hypo product, and also that you will bring real example on how we build your future projects. So let's start with our production that we have prepared in order to go deeply into the high potent production of APIs in a manufacturing site. We want to start whenever we discover you are managing a product and suddenly you discover that you are managing a high potent API. Maybe this is the first question that came to your mind. Am I ready? I'm ready to face all the challenges that are behind the production of a high potent process. I am Lydia Garcia, as Luis mentioned before. I am MSAT manager in Recipharm Leganés, and within our MSAT team, we are leading with cleaning and process validation, qualification of new equipment, and also introduction of technical transfer activities. As part of our daily activities, we are providing solutions for hypo and non-hypo production to our manufacturing process. We are running oral solid dosage form, and we hope that this webinar enjoy you. I want to start with this question. Have you ever felt doubts whenever we are running or you are starting a new production of a high potent API? For sure, whenever we start working with these high potent APIs, there are a lot of questions that rise into our minds. We typically start thinking on what will be the equipment protections that we will need to use to work in front of these high potent APIs. But we also start thinking on concepts that maybe were not usual for us, such as, for example, the OEL value or OEB ban, or maybe how should I handle the API? It will be needed to design a process, for sure, but there were a lot of doubts or concerns around because there is not a clear standardization of the process and there are no clear guidances on how to build this strategy. There are other questions that maybe will rise into your mind, like, for example, if you should use disposable material or maybe if it will be better to start working on cleaning validation strategies that will allow you to have process design for cleaning validation strategy appropriately for your process. Apart from that, many questions will rise to your mind, like, for example, if there are regulatory compliance or laws that you must to follow up, or what about the extra cost that all this kind of project will generate. It doesn't matter the reason why you are here in this webinar, if it is due to a strategic differentiation for the projects in which you are working, or maybe because you need to meet the increasing of the market demand for these high potent productions or products. Maybe you are just here because you are driving continuous improvement, and now due to the innovation, you need to work with this kind of production. Or maybe it is just curiosity, you want to know more about how to handle high potent drugs. In any case, you are really welcome to be here. When we are facing high potent drugs, there are many challenges that we need to overcome. The production of these high potent products require really strict safety, containment, and high quality controls. It represents both a technical and also a strategic challenge to define for a pharmaceutical industry this kind of models to work with these new products. With this webinar, we want to share with you how we have explored this hypo strategy or technologies and production. We want to navigate with you in the complexities and also on defining how is the design that we need to implement to have a successful strategy for future products. In addition, with this webinar, you will discover the manufacturing and packaging high potent opportunities that we can offer in Recipharm. We can offer flexible solutions and advanced technologies that will be available for all of you. So now we are going to start, first of all, with a general definition of what is a high potent active. It is a compound which has a high therapeutic activity at a very low dosage, and it is very high toxicity. These kind of high potent drugs are widely used in oncology, autoimmune diseases, and also target therapies. When we start talking about high potent drugs, the first two concepts that we need to really define and understand are these two ones that we have in front of us. First of all, we need to understand which is the OEL and what is the difference with the OEB. The OEL value is the occupational exposure limit. It is the maximal accepted concentration of a chemical substance in a workplace area. It is typically measured in a time frame of 8 hours. This OEL is established to protect our operators from adverse effects due to inhalation, ingestion, or skin absorption of these harsh substances. This OEL value is typically expressed in micrograms per cubic meter. On the other hand, we have the definition of the OEB. It is the occupational exposure band. They are really related. The OEB is a qualitative or semi-quantitative categorization system that allows us to group these kind of substances into bands. Its bands determine the level of containment and control measurement that will be required for production. Typically, we are talking about 6 different bands, which goes from band number 1 with a very low HAR up to band number 6, in which we are managing extremely high hazards. One of our recommendations based on the experience that we have is that it will adequate to use OELs rather than OEB values. Why? Because the OEB categorization is not standardized. There is not a clear standard on which are the limits that are within each individual band. This is why in the future, in case that you are working with a hypo production, you will face some difficulties or challenge discussing which kind of protection you will require from your equipment or designs whenever you are talking with bands. For this reason, we really recommend to use the concept of OEL instead of OEB for discussing further processes or equipment acquisitions. Do you remember that picture that we have seen before? I assume. Right now, what we are going to do is diving deep into all these concepts, trying to overcome all the barriers that came into your mind whenever we start talking about high potent production. We want to offer you certainty on the solutions that we are going to offer managing this kind of high potent projects. When we start thinking about how to manage a high potent drug, we typically focus on personal safety. It is one of our main concerns to define and to understand how to protect our teams. And for sure, it is the most critical aspect, the protection of the workers that are in front of the product categorized as hazardous. But we think that personal safety is not the first topic that we need to upload in this presentation. Maybe you will understand during the next slide of this presentation why in our approach we start with 3 additional topics before moving into personal safety. We think that there are other areas that will require special attention before addressing personal protection. Safety can come first, for sure, but we are proposing to break down some additional barriers before moving into personal safety chapter. We think that this is the smartest way to guarantee protection and efficiency for all the people that are working with high-potent drugs and also to assure the quality of our products. This is what you are going to find in this webinar. We are going to start talking about hypo strategy, how we have built our hypo strategy in different levels. We will then continue talking about equipment designs, why really matter the design of our equipment in order to assure safety and performance. And also we will discuss a bit on the role of the facility design that will help us on the creation of secure workflows. Finally, we will complete our presentation sharing with you the strategy that we have for personal safety and as well some regulatory compliance topic and cost and complexity. So now we are ready to start diving into the hypo strategy, and we are going to move with the first important topic for this webinar. This is how we have built our high-potent strategy. We have created the concept of the onion model. It means that we have created multiple layers to protect what really matters. In our case, our teams and the quality of our products. For this reason, what you can see here is that there are different layers of containment from primary, secondary, and tertiary one. We will start describing what is the primary containment. It will be related to our equipment design. It will allow us to keep the product inside the equipment, assuring the personal safety and the product quality. In addition, there you will see that we have built a secondary layer of containment. This secondary layer of containment will help us to assure the safety during the workflow movements and during our production. It's a second layer that will help us to produce this kind of high-potent drugs. And the tertiary level of containment is basically focused on procedures, training, and monitoring. Along all these containment levels, there is a tool that you will see that is used to define what is the elements needed to go from primary container to secondary container or tertiary containment. These assessment tools are essential to define the risk that we have in each level of containers and also to implement the mitigation plans that we need before moving into the next level of containment. So now let's go deep into the details, starting with the definition of the primary container. As I have mentioned before, primary container is focused on equipment design. Equipments are typically used for 2 purposes, production and cleaning. And we need to take into consideration both of them during the definition of our requirements for this equipment. Whenever we are working with production, we request to have closed processes for running high-potent drugs. Not in all the cases, we will be able to have closed processes. This is the reason why isolators are crucial. For this kind of activities, like for example, dispensing, where we are using as an equipment a simpler scale, it will be necessary to install isolator to assure that this operation will be managed in a safety container. In addition, there are typical operations that will request material transference whenever we are moving the product from step A to step B. We will go further during the next slides about how to manage transference of material. Sample ports are important as well because during the production, we need to take samples to perform IPCs or monitoring. And we need to assure that these operations are performed as well in a safety environment. All this kind of equipment typically works under pressure. This means that there will be some dust collector that will create vacuum to assure that the product will be not, the operator will be not exposed to this product during the execution of the processes. These dust collectors also are important because it will be requested to replace them whenever it will be needed. So it will be a must to have safe filter chains to allow the intervention of our maintenance teams. Apart from production, cleaning activities are also critical. During the cleaning process, people that are working in our site will be in front of these hypo racks. For this reason, we have defined that wash-in-place systems are a must to manage this kind of hypo technologies. It is an option to have also clean-in-place system. It will be ideal, but depending on the kind of equipment and technology, there are some opportunities, advantages and disadvantages of installing a SIP in this kind of equipment. As a summary, wash-in-place will be requested as a must and SIP as an option. Cleaning processes are not only the cleaning execution of the major equipment. It will be also necessary to clean auxiliary equipment, and in some cases there are a lot of discussion about the use of single-use part versus the execution or definition of cleaning validation strategies. And also discussions around dedicated equipment or multi-products equipment are on our table whenever we are running or defining a new hypo project. All these topics will be covered along the webinar. Secondary layer of protection is related to the facility. When we are talking about facility design, we have on our mind two different concepts. HVAC, that allow us to filter the air whenever it's coming in from the outside into the high-potent rooms. We are using the standard and typical HEPA filter to assure the quality of the air that we are receiving in the hypo production. But in addition, whenever we are working with high-potent drugs, there are additional measurements that are needed to be taken into consideration. First of all, one is related to the exhaust air. Whenever we are extracting the air for the hypo rooms, we have had additional HEPA filter to filter the air that has been in the room of this hypo area, but also we have established a general role of evaluation the air recirculation that typically is not permitted and that it will be defined based on the risk assessment for the different steps of your process. Differential pressure between rooms is something that is standardly used in pharmaceutical industry to assure or to reduce risk of cross-contamination. It is a must for hypo or not hypo product, but in case of production of hypo product, higher delta pressure will be requested. Facility designs include also flow of material and people. When we are working with high-potent drugs, we need to access in the hypo rooms, and for this reason, we have defined that a specific airlock for gowning and degowning of the people involved in the production will be needed, and also material access will be requested to introduce the material in a safety environment. A lot of examples will be shared with you later during the presentation, and we will go deeper into all these concepts. But before moving into that, we are going to abroad the tertiary level of containment. This tertiary level is the final one that will assure that everyone that is involved in the production of high-potent drugs is fully trained and that know how to manage its operation that could happen, the ones that are defined and the one that will be unexpected, like an emergency or a breakdown. For this reason, training on all the strategy and procedure will be essential to be established during this tertiary level of containment. Monitoring is an additional tool that we are using to evaluate the action and the definition of all the strategies that has been implemented in the previous layer. With monitoring, we are evaluating the air monitoring, for example, that will allow us to do the verification of the facility design that we have implemented before, but we will do also continuous verification of the cleaning strategies that has been defined for this product. Finally, apart from the air monitoring and cleaning monitoring, we are able to assure or to measure the exposure of the workers that are in front of these high potent bags. With hygiene measurements, we are able to confirm that all the definition and all the strategies that has been implemented are successfully protecting our teams. Reactive Predict model is also a tool that could help us on the definition or on the launch of the technical transfer, but also during the life cycle of the product to identify whatever it will be needed for a high product. It will minimize the number of samples needed to be taken to predict how your product will behave in the future. Now that we have shared with you our containment model with this onion shape, protecting what really matters, which are our teams and the product quality of our product, we are ready to answer this question. What could happen in case that a split or a breakdown occurs in our equipment? What is the risk that we are facing? Zero risk does not exist, but it could be that the risk of exposure will be very, very low. Why? Because we have a secondary and a tertiary layer of protection that will ensure that there is no risk of cross-contamination and that our person will be protected at any time with the appropriate equipment protection. As I mentioned with you before, apart from the 3 layers of containment, we have established risk assessment as the essential tool to move from one layer to another. Risk assessment tools help us to estimate the risk of the level of exposure without taking measurements. We have implemented risk assessment methodologies according to the control of substance hazardous to health. It helps us to define the risk on different categorization, low, medium, or high, and it will support us on additional controls in case of being needed. The evaluation that we are doing whenever we are running a risk assessment evaluation is based on 3 different principles: science-based approach, risk-based approach, and life cycle approach. Typically, we are using tools like FMEA, but also other different techniques as FTA or other ones could be used to make the evaluation of this risk assessment. In the case of managing FMEA exercise, we are able to generate the risk priority number with the evaluation or assessment of the severity, occurrence, and detection of the risk that we have whenever we are managing high potent bags. Here we have shared with you the 2 key elements to perform a successful risk assessment process. On one hand, we have the product knowledge, which will help us to evaluate the severity of the risk in case of managing these high potent bags. It is necessary to evaluate what is the formula, which is the percentage of API and excipients that we are managing with the new drug or new product, which is the OEL value, which is the chemical hazard that we need to overcome, or what is the volatility or dustiness of the product that we have in front of us. With all this information, we will be able to evaluate what will be the severity associated to this API. But in addition of the product knowledge, it is really important to have a deep knowledge on the process that we are going to use for managing or for running these processes. We recommend to have a clear schematic process flow, which will help us to identify the key exposure risk. Once we have the key exposure risk, we will be able to identify all the list of activities in which there will be any risk that will be needed to be evaluated afterwards. In the equipment that we are proposing to run the processes, there will be for sure some existing controls. This risk assessment will check as well the effectiveness of the existing controls that we have in the equipment. Maybe all these concepts are very general, but we are going to see an example. This is an example on how we start a risk assessment exercise. We start, first of all, with a general and schematic identification of the risks. You can see just in front of you that we have the example of a dispensing process. During the dispensing process, what we are doing is just doing the weighing of the API, receiving the material from the supplier, and getting a final IBC or container with the dispensed material. In this process, you can see that there are some red spots that are identifying the key risk during the transference of the product from the container, the original container in which the API is stored, up to the storage of the material in the final container, including the risk that we have whenever we are transferring the material from the isolator to the inner weighing hopper. An additional example is, for example, this one, in which we will see how a wet granulation process is established in our site. When we are running a wet granulation process, we receive the material from dispensing, and you can see that we have identified a red spot for the transfer of the material from the IBC into the granulator equipment. There are other risky points during the transfer of the material, drying, or up to the final transferring of the product from the fluid bed dryer throughout the quathocomil up to we reach the final dried granules into the container. With this kind of schematic workflow, what we can identify easily are the key points in which we need to focus our risk assessment. Once we have the product granulated, there will be some additional steps that are needed to be completed depending on the kind of process that we are managing. It could be maybe requested blending process, tableting, coating. In all the cases, what we have seen is that there are some risks associated to the transference of the product, introducing or getting the material out of the equipment. Finally, we are sharing with you that in Recipharm, we are managing oral solid dosage in manufacturing and also in packaging. Packaging is a specific area in which we can segregate primary and secondary packaging, and the risk or the exposure will be significantly different. We have identified as risky point during the primary packaging process the transferring of the material from the original container in which we are storing the bulk up to the introduction and package of the blister or bottles according to their formulation. When we have a clear definition of the process that we are handling, we are able to identify which phase we want to evaluate and which activities are the one in which we want to put the focus. Having a deep knowledge on the detailed activities that will be performed during the process, we will be able to evaluate what is the risk associated to all these steps. Knowing the product characteristics, we will be able to understand the severity in case of failure. And knowing the design of our equipment, we will be able to evaluate the probability of occurrence. With the severity and probability, we will be able to understand which are the risks that we have associated to the different steps of the process. Mitigation plans could be then implemented or defined to reduce the risk that we have for our processes. Acceptance level will be the last step of the risk assessment. When we will have all the list of activities described and analyzed, we will need to manage the different kind of risk. If we have a low risk, there will be maybe no action needed. In case of medium risk, it is recommended to evaluate the implementation of additional mitigation actions to reduce the risk. But if we are facing a high risk in any of our activities, we recommend highly as a must to implement additional activities to mitigate the risk. With this kind of exercise, we will not be able to assure zero risk, but the exercise of the risk assessment will help us to have a structured approach to transform all these complexities into control. With the risk management tool, we will be able to minimize the exposure and implement robust strategies to assure that our processes are under control. I have shared with you our HYPO strategy. Now I will move into the next step, which is equipment design. It is another barrier that we need to knock down, really, to manage high-potent drugs. It will be more visual, and I think that may be more interesting. Whenever we are running or defining solutions for equipment designs, we are covering 3 different steps: processes, cleaning, and maintenance. First of all, I will start providing you the kind of solution that we have implemented in Leganés for dispensing high-potent drugs. Whenever we are running dispensing process, as you have seen before in the schematic tool used for the risk assessment, what we have implemented is the use of isolators that allow us to contain the product in this kind of operation where the product is not contained in a specific equipment. Isolators are critical for this kind of step, but also product transference systems. In this case, vacuum. Vacuum allows us to transfer the material from one equipment to another in a containment environment, assuring the safety and product quality. Split valves are also a key element. We will see later in detail. The kind of split valve that we can use in the site are 2, manual or automatical. The principle is the same one. At the end, we have a container that could be used for high-potent management or low-potent drugs as well. The main difference that we are using is this specific split valve that allows us to transfer the material without exposure to the environment. The split valves are built into different elements, the active and the passive valve. The active valve is the one that allows us to open the passive one and to transfer the material from container A to container B. In this picture, you can see a different example of the kind of manual valve that we are using in the site. But we are also using automatic split valve. In this flow, you can see the different steps that we are managing. This first one shows you how the valves are when they are unlocked and closed. This means that there will be 2 sides of the HYPO, passive and active valve, that will be in contact with the product, and 2 of them that will be in contact with the environment. The second step of the diagram shows how the valves are fixed, docked, and closed. At this moment, there will be no transference of products. And the third step of the diagram shows how the valves are open. When they are docked, we can open, doing the transferring of the material. In this case, product is in contact with the 2 surfaces of the valve that are in contact with the product, but never will be in contact with the external face of the split valve, assuring that whenever we will close the valve and open or separate these 2 elements, we will assure the safety containment of our workers. You can see here an example of how an automatic split valve works. At the end, what you can see is that it is an automatic process without the intervention of any operator that allows us to position the active and the passive valve together, generating the movement to open this valve without human intervention. It will help the transferring of material, assuring that whenever we will close and separate again this active valve, We will assure that all these surfaces in contact with the environment will be without exposure to the API. Manufacturing processes are not only dispensing, there will be different kind of processes established in the site depending on the technologies, granulation, tableting, container. I will move quickly through the different steps, and you will see that the main concepts that we will use are the same. Use of closed equipment, product transference system, use of split valve, IPC controls in a contained system, or working under pressure. This is an example, as we have seen before, of the containers that we are using and split valve, so I move forward. Continuous liners or other transference system could be also used to transfer the material in containment. Equipment such as tableting will use closed processes under pressure system to assure safety, and also IPC testing in contained process. Other technologies such as coating or visual inspection could also be used for high potent management using under pressure controls and close and seals process. Packaging has the same concepts that we have mentioned before, with a primary in a contained and under pressure system. Also, solutions for cleaning are needed to be implemented not only for the major equipment with wash-in-place solution or clean-in-place processes, also for containers where cleaning station will be requested. In the lab, we need to also define which kind of level of containment will be required, and for this reason, segregated areas or even working booths will be in place for managing these hypo technologies. For maintenance, it will be also important to establish maintenance process in a safety manner, using Vivo systems, allowing our workers to replace the filters whenever it will be needed without exposure to the operators or to the environment. Facilities are designed using the concept or airlock for entrance of people and also entrance for materials. It is important to have differential pressure between areas to assure that we have contained our hypo processes. In this picture, what you can see is the use of this kind of mist shower that will help us to assure the safety, decontamination of our teams before the degauning whenever they are working with high potent drugs. These mist showers are based on a water sprite of micro drops on the top of the suites that are used for managing high potent drugs. These mist showers assure or minimize the risk during the degauning of the people that are involved in the high potent production. As a summary, the process control solution that we recommend to implement for managing high potent drugs are use of digitalization to monitor and to execute IPC controls online, manufacturing batch record, use of automation and robotics to avoid the exposure of operators or humans to the processes using such as, for example, cleaning automatic wash procedures or recipes, using advanced technologies like isolator, transfer by vacuum, and also keeping the focus on sustainability. Personal safety, which is the initial idea that came to our mind whenever we are talking about high potent management of this kind of thing, you have seen that is, as mentioned initially, is not the first topic, or is not the first topic to be proposed to investigate in your teams. Personal safety is the last line of defense that we recommend to implement whenever all the additional topics, strategy, equipment, and facility has been controlled. Personal protective equipment will ensure safety in case of emergency. You will see here in this slide an example of the level of protection that we are applying for our teams. I would like to share with you an example on how should we design the equipment protection level that we will use for our teams. In this case, managing an OEB process of 0.7 with a low concentration of API during the dispensing process, we will expect to use all this kind of overgowning with a specific suit, motorized equipment, gloves, etc. But what could happen whenever we are managing the same kind of API, same OEL value, but we are changing the process step? Right now, instead of managing dispensing, imagine that we are managing a coating process. Everything is closed and contained. This is the question that maybe could rise into our mind. Is all the personal protective equipment necessary? Or maybe are we overprotecting our teams? The answer will depend on the risk assessment that we are doing in the evaluation. With all the information that we have seen before regarding product knowledge and equipment knowledge, we will be able to evaluate the risk level. And with the existing hygiene measurement, we will be able really to understand what will be the level of protection that we will need to implement for our equipment. So personal safety strategy is not only related to motorized equipment, it will be based, first of all, on personal training, on how to manage operation and rails. Also, on top of them, we will need to define the protection equipment and the hygiene measurements that we are going to implement that to assure that the equipment design, facility design, and process that we have implemented are aligned with the expected measurement that we were thinking to face. Health checks are also recommended to be implemented in the installations. Regulatory compliance are not only related to quality, also safety. It's not clearly defined and unified the regulatory process for handling high-potent drugs. For this reason, we cannot provide you a unit guidance, but we can share with you different guides that we have used to handle these high-potent drugs that can be used as recommended. Regarding quality, the standard used for production cleaning or risk assessment management used in low production, in standard production, could be used also for high-potent management. In the case of high-potent management, it is key to establish a robust cleaning validation process. The cleaning validation process is defined based on the PDE value. The PDE value represents dosage that can unlikely cause an adverse effect on an individual. It is typically studied this PDE value with a person of 15 kgs with the doses that could take in micrograms per day. The PDE value will help us to define the acceptance criteria. The standard regulation requests to use the MAC acceptance level as acceptance criteria, but there are other historical limits that could be also used for internal purposes, like the therapeutic dose or the 10 ppm. With all these acceptance criteria, we will be able to launch our validation. But the validation is typically addressed based on the introduction or in the assessment or related to the introduction of a new drug. Not all the products that are introduced in the site will request a cleaning validation process. It will be assessed based on the worst case selection if a validation is needed or not. With this risk assessment, we will be able to define if dedicated pieces will be requested due to the introduction of a new worst case, or if a new acceptance criteria will be needed to be reevaluated. Finally, I would like to share with you the cost and complexity that it has whenever we are managing high-potent drugs. Achieving an optimal balance between protective measurements and design complexity is our significant challenge. Why? Because the level of protection can be increased indefinitely. But it could happen that increasing the level of protection, our process will maybe become non-operational. We can protect our team, we can build additional layer of protection in our equipment, but the real challenge is to make an operational process that will allow us to be productive, providing safety to our peoples and process. Just to close the webinar, I will recap with you the existing capabilities that we have right now in Leganés. As we have mentioned, for managing high-potent drugs, we are able to run dispensing of API in isolator, wet granulation or dry mixing processes in different technologies, tableting, coating, or visual inspection and packaging. We are right now able to manage batch size between 120 kgs up to 600 kgs using API up to OEB5 or OEL values below 0.1. But as all of us, we are working in continuous improvements, and right now we are going to develop a new hypo area where we will be able to offer a small batch size for our clients for high-potent drugs. We will be able to run dispensing process in a smaller isolator, drying granulation in a different technique like roller compactor, tableting process, or coating process using batch size significantly smaller than the one that we are using right now. With all this information that we have shared with you, I only want to thank you for your time, for joining this webinar. I hope that it has bring you a real value for your future projects. And also I hope to provide you a better overview about Recipharm as a trusted partner for developing and launching new potential projects that will come up in the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Lydia, so much for this great presentation. I hope that all of you that were watching enjoyed today's session and that you learned something new. And again, don't hesitate to reach out. We often take just a few days to answer any inquiries. So either just scan the QR code or go directly to our website. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye, Luis.
Bye.